What is going on, guys? It's Modded Warfare here. Welcome back to another episode of PS4 Jailbreak Tutorials. This is the series that shows you how to take full advantage of your jailbroken PS4. Obviously, if you haven't watched any of the previous episodes, check them out. There's a playlist link down in the video description and in the cards in the top right hand corner. So in this video, we're taking a break from kind of the usual stuff, and I wanted to show you guys how to customize your PS4 home menu or home screen so that you can do a bunch of different things. One of the main things that people have been requesting I cover is how to get rid of these annoying kind of system apps that are hanging around on the home screen that you do not have the option to delete, and you can only really add them to a folder to kind of hide them as best you can. Well, on a jailbroken PS4, as you've seen in my previous episodes, I have those applications removed or hidden so that they're not visible on the home screen. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that, but rather than just show you that, I thought I would also take the time in this video to show you some other customization options for the home menu, like doing things like being able to swap out your images for your different apps that you have on the PS4, changing things like the background music, the ambient background music that you can hear. You can change that out, the login sound. You can also change your profile images, because there's a lot of different ways you can kind of customize the home screen. Now, in future episodes, I'll cover things like custom themes and permanent themes. But the thing with custom themes is that you lose them when you reboot the PS4 because they're fake package files, whereas the changes that we're going to do here are going to be persistent. So when you reboot the PS4, your changes will stay in place. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to use FTP. But we need to use an FTP app that gives us full read and write functionality to areas of the hard drive that are normally set to read only. So on most FTP clients, like the FTP that's built into PS4 Explorer, the FTP payload on the exploit host that you're using, even the FTP that's built into Gold Hen, those FTP servers are restricted to only giving you read and write access to certain things, and they do not allow you to have read and write access to the system directories on the PS4, whereas you want to install an FTP app that will give you write access to those directories, because that's where you'll find a lot of stuff like the images that you want to replace for the system apps. Also changing things like the music, that requires full read and write access to those directories. So in order to do that, we're going to use Orbis FTP. So this was released by OSM, Old School Mods. So this is basically a FTP app for the PS4 that will give you full read and write access to all the directories, as far as I'm aware. So what we're going to do is grab a USB drive or external hard drive that's obviously formatted in exFAT or FAT32 format, and then go into that drive and copy the package file for Orbis FTP into the root of the USB drive, and then go ahead and eject the drive and plug it into the PS4. All right, so once we're on the PS4, we're then going to go into the settings. We're going to go into the user guide or the web browser, and you're going to load up the Mira payload on whichever exploit host you're using. So 7.55, 6.72, 5.05, 7.02, or some future jailbreak. So go onto your exploit host and run Mira. You don't want to run Gold Hen, because Gold Hen includes its own FTP server that can conflict with the one that we're installing. So we're going to use Mira instead of Gold Hen in this case. So run Mira and wait for it to load up successfully. Once you run the payload successfully and it boots you back into the home screen, you can then go into settings again, scroll down to the debug settings, go to game, package installer, and install the Orbis FTP app. Okay, there we go. So once it's installed, this is just the installer, not the actual app itself. So we have to run the installer first, which will then install the app. Now, sometimes you can get an error message here. Yeah, so as you can see, you get this error message that pops up, but it did successfully install Orbis FTP. So we can then delete the installer once it's successfully installed the application. And then we can run the application and make sure that we are connected to the internet on our PS4 before you run it. And then we can run Orbis FTP. And there we go. FTP loaded, and we get the IP address and port number. Okay, so now we can switch back over to the computer and run a FTP client like FileZilla. So we can load this up and basically type in the IP address of the PS4 and the port number, which is 1337, and connect, and that will connect us to our PS4's hard drive. Okay, so where should we start? I guess we should start with the one thing that people were requesting in all the previous videos that I actually show, which is how to get rid of those, background system apps that still appear on the PS4 that have no use when you're on a jailbroken PS4 because you don't have access to PSN. They're just there in the home screen all the time and you can't get rid of them. So in order to get rid of those, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the system data directory. And then in there, you're going to go into the PRIV directory and then scroll down to MMS. In fact, I'll put the actual, all of the different locations that we're going to in this video, I'll put them at the bottom of the screen, the whole file path to where you need to go. So in here, you can see that we have this app.db. So that's your application database. So we're going to go ahead and extract that to our desktop here. So this is just a MySQL like database file. So all you need to do is use a database browser like DB browser for SQLite. I'll link it in the description, this DB browser for SQLite. So you're going to run that, and this will allow us to open this file and, you know, change a few things. So if we go to File, Open Database, and we're going to select the database file right there, the app.db. So from there, you're going to go to Browse Data, and then go to the table, and then change the table to tbl_app browse. And then that will give you all the different apps. So from here, what you can do to get rid of the ones that you don't want is if you scroll over to the side, you can see there's this visible column. And all you have to do is change that from a 1 to a 0. So you can see that the Share Factory, which is showing up right here. If we have a look, you can see we've got Share Factory, got all these other ones. So for example, Share Factory, we've got Visible 1. So I'm just going to set that to 0. This one's PlayStation View. I'll set that to 0. Media Player 0. Obviously, we want the internet browser to show up. Music Unlimited, we'll put that to 0. PlayStation My Videos 0. And obviously, a lot of this other stuff are apps that I actually want to show up. So won't get rid of any of that stuff. And then we'll go ahead and write changes. And that's that. So once we've written changes, we can then close the database, close the application, and put this app.db back on. Now you might want to make a backup of your original app.db. So you can create like a folder on your computer, like backup db, and copy it in. Now here's the thing though. If you did make a mistake with the app.db, then sure, you can restore your backup, but you don't want to restore your backup after you've already changed things on your PS4. So if you've installed other apps and then you go to restore the backup, then those other apps will show up as like corrupted. So it can really mess things up if you restore a backup after you've changed stuff in the database. So only restore the backup if immediately the version that you just put on is no longer working or is causing some problems. Otherwise, once you start changing things, you don't want to restore that backup because you're going to mess things up. So anyway, what we can do now is just overwrite the DB with the new one. Now, I'm not sure if, I think we can refresh without rebooting the PS4. I think if we just go into the internet browser, back onto the internet browser and back out, it's now gone. And now you have that nice clean look with none of these other system apps showing up. And I'll also just go ahead and add Orbis FTP to my homebrew folder, and now everything is nice and neat. So yeah, that's how you do that. That's a nice way of kind of cleaning up the home screen right there. So a couple of other things that you can do. Obviously, I said you can change the app images. So for example, if we wanted to change the web browser app, just as an example, we want to change this this logo on here. So as you can see, I've got my old avatar template right here. I really need to update this. If there's any graphic designers out there who could, you know, make a better avatar picture, please let me know. I'm in dire need of help. But yeah, so as you can see, I've got this here just as an example. So what we'll do is we'll go back to the root directory, and we'll go into system_ex, and then we'll go into app. So all of the ones that are MPXS are like your system apps. So, and some of them are also the CUSA ones as well. I think like one of these ones is the Playroom or something. But yeah, so I don't exactly know which one is which. So what you want to do is go into the SCE system directory. So that was that one. Let's do this one, SCE system. There's an icon. Let's drag this out. And yep, that's the web browser icon right there. So you can replace that with any other icon you want. So I can take this avatar and call this icon0.png. and basically replace the one that's already in there. Also, there's this 4K one, which is basically a slightly higher resolution version of it for obviously PS4 Pros that are running at 4K resolution. They use these slightly higher pixel count images just to get, so there's not quite as blurry. So if you have a PS4 Pro running at 4K, then you're also going to want to swap this image out as well. So all I really have to do is use something like, paint.net, which is a free application. I'll link it in the description. This is an older version. And basically just drag the image in here. And we can go to image, resize, change this from 512 to 660. And then we can go ahead and I guess we'll just save it like this. Then all we have to do is rename it to icon0 underscore 4K or lowercase k, and copy that one over and replace it. So that should be that changed. Now I'm not sure if this will update just by running the application. No, it doesn't. Okay, so that will require a restart in order for that image to show up and change. Now that's just the location for the system app images for things like the web browser and stuff. Obviously, if you want to change the images for the installed apps, the apps that you've actually installed on your account, like games, on homebrew apps and emulators, if you want to change the icons for those, then they're in a different location. They're in user, app meta, and then inside the app meta folder, you'll have all the list of the title IDs for all the games. And you just go in there and you'll find the icon0.png and, icon0 4K PNG. And you can just swap them out as I just did with the system one right here. So another thing, obviously, is your avatar picture, your avatar image. It's also in system data, and then it's in PRIV, and then cache, profile, whatever this folder is. These folders represent different profiles, I think. So if you have more than one profile, you'll have more than one of these folders. And then inside you have this version.json, and that is where you put your avatar. So for avatars, as you can see, I've already got them set up here. You need a PNG file that's 440 pixels, and you're also going to need 4 DDS files, direct draw surface files, so .dds, that are 440 pixels, 260 pixels, 128 pixels, and 64 pixels. So you need one of those images for each. So 5 images in total, 1 PNG, 4 DDS files. Again, you can use something like paint.net to do this. You basically just copy the image in, resize it to whatever size you're wanting to do, like 440. You can resize it, and then you can go to, save as, and save it as a DDS, direct draw surface, and call it, avatar 440.dds, and that's how you save it. You can also do the PNG one from here as well. Save it as a PNG. So yeah, that's what you need. You need to have all of those set. So the PNG is just called avatar.png, and the rest of them are called avatar, and then the size of the image. So 440, 260, 128, and 64. And you just copy them once you're done over to that directory where the version.json is. And then again, when you reboot your PS4, your avatar image will show up as your profile picture. So that's how you do that one as well. So finally, let's look at customizing the music in the game. So, okay, so there's kind of 2 locations, one for the login sound and one for the kind of main background music. So where you're going to want to go is you're going to want to go into MNT, and then go into the sandbox directory, then go into mpx s20001. Then in there, you'll find app0, and then in there, you'll have system BGM. If you go in there, you'll have BGM underscore main.89. So 89 is an audio format. It's the audio format that the PS4 uses. It's like its own kind of compressed audio format. So any audio that you want to swap out will have to be converted to an 89 file. So there's a few different tools you can use to do this. I tried to use one that just did not work for me. So I've ended up just basically using a tool that I made for converting the sound files for Skyrim and Fallout for the PS4 version to convert PC mods. So I decided to just use that tool, which is this one here, this XMA to 89 converter. So if you go ahead and run this and run the XWM to 89, it converts XWM and WAV files to 89 files. So any music that you download, if it's an MP3 or some other audio format, convert it to a WAV file first, which you can do with like VLC and, you know, Audacity or many other programs. You can convert the audio format to a .wav. And then once it's in a .wav format like this is just some generic ambient music that I got from, you know, YouTube's music library because it's non-copyrighted. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag that in here, and you can select looped, which is for when the track ends, you want it to repeat again and again and again, which for the main menu background you do. I'm not sure if it's actually required. I'm not sure if the PS4 just automatically loops the track. It probably does, but so it might not be required to enable the looped option, but I just enable it anyway. So then I'm going to go ahead and hit convert, and then wait a few seconds, and then that should convert it to an 89 file. So you can see these other files showing up, so it's still going, and that's it done now. So yeah, once it's finished and you've got your 89 file, as you can see here, you're going to rename it to bgm_main.89 for the main menu. So, I mean, let me do this PlayStation 1 boot up sound. Classic. So we'll go ahead and put that in as our login sound. And I'm not going to loop that one because obviously the login sound isn't meant to be constantly looping. It only plays once. So we'll go ahead and convert that. Okay, I still had the other one in, so it's doing both. Just get rid of that one. There we go. And again, I'll rename this one to bgm_login. So bgm_login.89. So that's our two audio files right there. So if we head back onto FTP and replace this now, so the way that we replace this is we basically right click, we go to rename and rename this to something like 891, or just put some other number or symbol at the end so that it's just got a different name. And then we can copy the one that we want to actually use into the same location. That way you have a backup on the hard drive of the original audio. So if you want to ever change it back, you can just delete this one and rename this one back to 89 and it will be back to normal. It's a good idea just to keep the default one still on the hard drive, just with a different name, and then you're good to go. As for the login sound, if we head back into the root directory, the login sound is actually inside PREINST. So if we go in there, we've got PRIV again, and then system BGM, and then the login sound is here. Now what's weird is there's also like the main background music is in here too. That's not the one we want to replace for the background music though, just the login one. So again, if we change the login one to 891 and then copy the one that we made into the same location, then that will replace the audio. So just as an example, just to show here, if I play this music that you can hear right here, the background music, I'll make it louder so you guys can hear it. So it's still playing the normal one right now, even though we swapped it out. So in order to make it refresh to the new one that we added, all we have to do is go into the system sounds in the settings, so sound and screen, and then go down to system music and just toggle it on and off. So turn it off, turn it on, and there you go. Wow, that's surprisingly loud. But yeah, so there you go. As you can see, I swapped it out with this different track. This is just one of the stock songs from the YouTube music library. And yeah, as you can see, it works. It's swapped it out. So anyway, that is how you swap out the main menu background and the login sound. Okay, so I've rebooted the PS4, and as you can see, the image for the web browser has changed. However, the avatar image has not changed, and I forgot that my account is activated. When you have a PSN activated account, that trick by putting the avatar images onto the profile folder does not actually work. I think it requires some other change in order to make it work on an activated account. It only works on local accounts. So what I did was I created another profile and just put the images into that profile folder. And as you can see, it has worked on that profile. It has added the avatar image. So it just needs to be a local account that's not activated. So yeah, but apart from that, as you can see, everything has worked successfully. We now have a much cleaner looking home menu. and we're able to swap out our images. We have our ambient background music changed. So yeah, as you can see, it's all working. So I will be covering, you know, custom themes and stuff in future episodes, and permanent themes to further customize the PS4 home menu. And also don't forget, there are other things that we could have changed as well. We just kind of ran out of time, but there's lots of other things that you can do to customize this stuff on the hard drive. You can kind of look at all the different folders and find all the different image files and things that you can swap out. But I think that'll do for now. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.